Okay, Coach Ruschell. Coach Ruschell, here's my question to you. A lot of shade thrown at you, man. You get a lot of disrespect. So you didn't get the memo, but you're from Kentucky and you're not supposed to be a Division I All-American. You were a two-time All-American. Yep. And then Willie Saylor, I don't know if he sent the memo over. I know he sent a message, but you weren't supposed to win Pan Ams either.
Yeah. So a little bit of background is when I signed with Wisconsin, I had 3 or 4 coaches from the state of Kentucky say I bit off more than I could chew going to the Big Ten, going to Division I. And so I've always had those little chips on my shoulder. I'm a Kentucky guy, and there's not a lot of respect for that state, but there's some good kids there. And so I wanted to help prove a point a little bit. I always thought I was never good enough. With the Pan Am thing, they really had your opinion. And yeah, I did my thing down there, and I've been wrestling well, and we'll see if I wrestle again.
So here's the next thing. You didn't get into the trials.
No.
Okay, I just got to frame this in. You didn't get into the trials, but if you were at the World Championships right now, I think you'd actually be seeded because you won a Continental.
Yeah, they said I had points.
You had points, so you'd have been close to being seeded, probably a top 4 guy. The separation criteria.
Yeah.
My mind's blown when I hear something like that. And then we don't let you. USA Wrestling doesn't let you into the trials. Does that keep the chip of the Kyle Ruschell chip on the shoulder?
I use little things like that as fuel, and I think needs to be things that motivate each person. And some people it's family, some people it's God, some people it's people telling you can't do things. I've kind of always gone towards that, people telling me I can't do things and trying to prove them wrong. And it's not about that, but it just gives me that extra motivation when I do things. I always try and do things the right way. And yeah, I mean, I thought I had done enough to maybe get a wild card, but they don't do wild cards anymore.
They won the Pan Ams, dude.
And they said I didn't go through their system, and I got to respect it. It's USA Wrestling, that's their thing. But we'll see down the road what happens.
And then you wrestle this style, this like funk style, the step over, cradle, funk, leg pass style. I don't know if Barry Davis had that in mind.
Oh, you guys don't know? Barry Davis is a scrambling master. Barry taught me a lot of things, and he'll always be my coach. And we did a lot of detail stuff, a lot of basics. That's what Barry's always great at, one-on-one type stuff. Bringing you in at 6 a.m., going over deep, beating a 2-on-1. But I kind of developed my own style, like I talked about today. It's an art form. He taught me the basics, and then I made my own artwork. And I think Barry was great, but I kind of just evolved it into scrambling technique that I used more because I was long, and it worked for me.
Does Wisconsin, would you say that you guys don't really have a style like that? And everybody says the Iowa style. The Penn State style is get the most super talented guys on the planet and put them out there and let them go.
Right.
I mean, these colleges have styles. What would you say Wisconsin style is?
We recruit kids on. We have to recruit them by academics, and we recruit them on just the type of kids they are. We want kids coming into the locker room that are happy to see each other, not picking on each other and being like, oh, I got so-and-so right next to me, and he's just going to give me crap for 30 minutes before practice. And it creates a bad atmosphere for your room. So we recruit the types of kids and then try to develop them individually and really hammer the basics, like I was saying, hammer the basics and then make it your own. Wrestling, you can have a guy that just does front headlocks and a guy that does nothing but scrambles and both can win a national title. And so it's all about the basics and just being confident in your positions and winning.
I know you've told the Pan Am story a couple times, but you were literally the only guy that USA Wrestling could send at 74 kilos who had a visa.
Right.
And that's the story, right?
Yeah, so at the U.S. Open out in Vegas, they came up to me and they asked, you still have your visa, right? And I was like, yeah, it's a 10-year one from when I went to Brazil 3 years ago. And they're like, well, we might need you to make 74 kilos. What do you weigh? I was like, I get down to that almost every day after practice, wrestle with guys like Jordan and those guys. So it was nothing for me. I said I can make that in 2 days if you need me to. And they called me up the Sunday before we left saying, hey, we need you. I was like, for the U.S., I'll do anything for it, And it was a great opportunity. I went down there, and it was one of those things where it's the first time I've ever was chilling by the pool, reading a book before weigh-ins. I didn't have to cut any weight or anything. It was the first time ever. And weighed in, felt great. And it was fun to compete again. I think you lose that sometimes later in your career. Now I took a couple of years off. Neck injury, I had a neck fusion done, and that's why I stopped. And then I found that little bit of drive again, so it was fun.
So winning the gold medal, like, what did that do to you, like, confidence-wise, knowing that you can compete with the best internationally?
It did a couple things. You know, Jordan Burroughs right now, in my opinion, he's the best guy. And James Green, I think he's the best guy. And so those are the two guys that you would need to beat. Not just in the nation, but in the world too. So I still got a lot to do if I decide to come back for sure. But yeah, I mean, it shows like just relaxing and just being confident when you walk out on the mat. Nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. They go, you weigh in, that's a win for us, because you just need somebody to weigh in. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just weigh in. And so I didn't have anything to lose, no pressure, and I just walked out there and had a great time.
You crushed everybody too, didn't you? You packed everybody.
Yeah.
You smashed everybody. Okay, so then you hear about this guy, this little bald guy in Texas, is trashing you. What were you like? What's going on?
I didn't really know what was going on, and my mom got after him a little bit on Twitter, going back and forth, and I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. I stepped up when I was needed, and that's what I think as a sport we need people to do. And I did it. I went down there, had fun, and I proved somebody wrong.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings. We kind of made up, and we had a picture at World Trials. He has his opinions, and you know he creates some great conversations. And so you need some people like that, I guess. But I like to prove him wrong.